Hey, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another reading. My voice is going a little bit, but don't judge me. Might be a little bit of squeakiness going on. I should not do this reading, but I'm in the flow, so I can't help it, y'all. Aries as well. Ain't no stopping me. This is going to be a reading on like a new leaf. I'm not sure if that's the right terminology, if it's new leaf or a new page. I think they mean the same thing. Turning a new leaf, turning a new page. But it's kind of got that vibe to it. I hope that makes sense to people. I think all of these readings, in a way, are about just spirit helping to guide us. So all these titles really, in a sense, don't mean much because they're just guidance from spirit, all of them. But, you know, the theme that was coming through with this reading was turning a new leaf or turning a new page. And this kind of just had quite a happy vibe. So I wanted to kind of get this one out as well because it had kind of a cheery vibe to it, which I think some of you might need right now. So, yeah, I guess just to finish this introduction, I just want to state that for anyone who is going through a hard time, at least in my life, what I've come to realize is that sometimes shit doesn't get better, sometimes it gets worse, but it will eventually get better. So when you're in a period for a long time and you think, shit, this has been bad for so long, and then that next thing comes in, if it's financial pain, if it's your partner fucking you over, if it's family doing you dirty, if it's, I don't know, I'm just trying to think, like work just being awful, getting fired from your job, whatever it might be, I've come to realize that shit can always get worse. But when it's worse, when it gets worse and it keeps on getting bad for a long time, it's not that things aren't going to get better eventually. It's that you're in a bad, like you're in a growth period, and it's almost like, to put it into spiritual terms, it's like being at the gym. And I've never had a fitness trainer, by the way, but it would be the equivalent of the fitness trainer saying, like, one more rep, but your arms are dead, or your legs are dead, or whatever you're working on is dead. And the fitness trainer saying one more, and you squeeze out that one more. That's when something bad happens and it gets even worse. And you squeeze out that last one, and you just dead on the floor for a while because you just pushed yourself so far. Now, that day at the gym, you kind of go home, you take your shower, and you're just in bed because you're aching. You push so far, you push yourself so far, and you spend the whole day in bed just in pain because you've pushed yourself. Now, it's not until the day after, and this doesn't always work really with the gym or exercise in general, because your gains or your improvement isn't always necessarily seen straight away, but it would be the equivalent of, it's not until you wake up that next morning and pass the mirror and go, shit, I've improved. So in the moment of that last rep, that pain, you're not going to see shit because you're just way too much in the pain of it. But it's not until afterwards, when that pain is over, that you can see how much you've grown. And I think that's the beautiful message that Spirit was kind of passing on to us. for this introduction. Might not have been the best metaphor in the world. I realise that, but I hope you can get the point of what I was trying to say there. So as always, pile number ones, pile number twos, and pile number threes. Feel free to pause the video if you need to, and I'll get stuck into pile number ones. Got something abstract coming through here. It's interesting because it's kind of continuing on from the leaf a little bit. It's kind of got a leaf kind of shape to it. I'm also seeing here, like, I'm seeing someone like holding a torch. That's what I'm seeing here. So I'm seeing like a figure, almost like a funky hairstyle, and the arm and the flame. So I feel like my pile ones, that the new chapter that you're stepping into is you've almost sent, I feel like you've almost sent some form of like signal to other people. If you haven't watched the introduction, you might want to, because it's like the equivalent would be you'll relate to this if you've seen some of my posts on Instagram, but I'm always kind of almost showing this person climbing this mountain, and it reminds me of that a lot, where you being almost like, could be the first, maybe the first isn't so important, but you're the person who kind of climbed this mountain and you've lit the torch, and you don't understand that you lighting that torch from the top of that mountain has started a chain on effect of people who are watching you. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You might be a singer, you might be a designer, you might be a politician, you might be a waiter, you might be a chef, you might be I'm just trying to reel off random things if you can't tell. But it doesn't matter what you do, whatever you're doing, you seem to have lit the torch for people to look and go, wow, I can do it too now. So if it was the gym analogy, it's like, it would be the equivalent of your sibling having a really great physique, and you may never have thought that someone with your heritage or something could have, I don't know why Spirit was giving me this, but it would be like, let's say, and don't throw no daggers at me, I was getting the no daggers thrown, but look, this kind of makes sense, but it's definitely stereotyping, so do not take this literally. But it would be like, like a Chinese person, and if you're a Chinese person watching this, and your sister went to the gym and she just really worked out on her butt, so much so you was like, damn, sis, like, your butt be looking better than some of these black and Latino girls. Like, how the fuck did you pull that off? And we're not talking about, because there are some Chinese people with genetics like that. Of course there are. But, I'm stereotyping here to say that majority aren't necessarily built like that. And you might have been living in your world saying, oh man, like, I'm never gonna have a butt like that, for example. And then your sister has gone and worked her ass off, and she's got that ass, and you're like, damn, okay, we can get that ass too. We just have to go about it in a different way. And the equivalent might be, again, no, I'm throwing no shade here. Please take this with a pinch of salt. Like, let's say, for example, if just to round it off with different examples, let's say if you're a guy and let's say if you're a guy and you come from a background where musicians aren't really respected, or even a certain type of music isn't respected. Like, let's say your dude and your brother becomes a great pianist in classical music, and you're from a environment which, for one, doesn't even respect that, and for two, don't they couldn't even imagine that they would get the support to actually learn how to play a classical piano, let alone be a great in that industry. So like your brother becomes a famous pianist and actually goes on tour as a pianist or something. And what that does in your mind is it completely opens your mind to shit that I can do this shit too, you know. So again, don't come at me for my examples, but I am playing on stereotypes here and stuff, but they do make sense if you know what I'm saying. Like, they could have been better metaphors, but they do make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, Spirit's given me like 100 different metaphors that I could have used, and I'm like, shit. Couldn't you have given that to me earlier? God. So, anyways, I hope that my examples painted the picture for you. It's not really about the examples that I'm using here. And at the end of the day, who gives a shit about anything? Like, just do you. Part number ones. You should know this already. But sometimes that's what I'm just trying to think actually of an example that I could use about myself to kind of rein this in. Um, yeah, nothing's really coming to me. But I feel like there's a sense of this whole reading really is hit with basically you being that inspiration. It's like you're that inspiration for other people. I've used these metaphors of kind of taking yourself out of that situation and putting someone else there. But really, Spirit is saying that you're that person. That's your new chapter, is that you stepped into the position of you being that person who's climbed this mountain, whatever that might be for you. The example is that you're that sister in that example, you're that brother in that example, and you're about to lead the whole way for a whole bunch of people, or maybe a less amount of people, but at least some people are seeing you with that torch, and they're like, wow, that person made it, that person did it. So part number ones, I hope that kind of made sense. And I hope you weren't too distracted by me just having jokes in the middle of my readings. But hey, um, if you like the reading, please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Okay, pile number 2 is. I hope you're doing good. It's going to be abstract today. Okay, very simple. New leaf. So I'm kind of getting vibes here of like almost like a compass, navigation, which is interesting because we're talking about a new page, new leaf. And I feel like part 2s, I feel like with this new leaf that you're taking, this new chapter that you're stepping into, you've actually had a choice. Kind of what Spirit's given me here. It's like you actually had a choice. I'm almost feeling could be relationships too. Could be a relationship reading. I wouldn't necessarily say like you had four options. You could have. This could be for my players out there. Pile number 2s could be my players. But kind of, it doesn't necessarily have to be 4 different people. It could be like 4 different scenarios with that one person. So, just for example, it could be like you had an opportunity to propose to that person. You had an opportunity to move in with that person. You had an opportunity to have kids first with that person. You had an opportunity to, just to throw in a mix, like a negative one, leave that person. Do you understand? It's something like that. And obviously you've got to use your own discernment for this, pile number 2s. But I think Spirit is almost reminding you that you had choice, or you have choice here. This is maybe for people out there, like I kind of just had a split second conversation with Spirit, like why is their reading just on choice? Obviously they know that. And Spirit was saying to me in that split second, they don't. That's why you're doing this. It's and kind of Spirit just helped me to understand your position, is that sometimes we forget that we have choice. You know, sometimes we forget. And sometimes the circumstance seems so almost like straightforward that we forget that we have choice. An example of this might be, let's say if you lose your job, but you've got rent to pay. So a new job opportunity comes in and you've got rent to pay, and you're thinking, I've got to take this job because I've got rent to pay. Spirit is saying that this person, in the panic of what they have to do, they've forgotten that they actually can say no to this opportunity. And that's the same for relationships, right? Let's say if you're with a person and that person is like, well, I've got to get married, otherwise I'm not going to be in this relationship. That person, let's say if they're madly in love, they're thinking, okay, well, I've got to get married then. But they're forgetting that they can say, I don't want to get married. But the love can make them blind there. So it's like Spirit just gave kind of two dope past examples. Um, Pile number ones will be jealous because my examples weren't so good in theirs. But for you, you've got some good examples there because Spirit just outlined that in financial in financial pain, financial distress, we can make decisions where we think we don't have choice. And blinded by love, we can also make decisions where we don't think we have choice too. And I'm sure the list keeps on going where we can feel like we don't have choice when we actually do. Sometimes we can just be in the flow so much as well. That's what I've come to realize. There's a negativity of flow. If you listen to people online, they'll always talk about, yeah, be in your flow, be in your flow. Like, boy, you can be in your flow too much sometimes that you forget to look up. Like, there is such a thing. Like, being in your flow too much can be a negative thing. You can be in your flow too much that you forget to actually enjoy life in different ways. You can be in flow with your work that you forget to enjoy your relationship. You can be in flow so much that with your work or your purpose that you forget to holiday, see places. Do you understand? Like, some may argue that when you're in your flow, you do these things too. I just don't think that's true, actually. I just don't think that is true. I think sometimes, this whole channel is called If You Pause because it's reminding us on the fact of that even in flow, sometimes we need to pause and realign, you know. Spirit was giving me the analogy there of like the flow of water. And it's like the water will always find like the most suitable way to flow down the hill. But Spirit was saying sometimes we need to stop and drink the water. God damn, that's deep. It's like we're so concerned about being the water in the flow and getting to the bottom of the hill or the top of the hill. And Spirit was saying sometimes we need to stop, get on our knees, feel that water go through our hands, splash our face, sip on how fucking beautifully fresh this water, how clear it is, how it reflects the light in a beautiful way. It's that old saying of sometimes you got to sit down and smell the roses, sometimes. Or sometimes that time isn't now. But if you're too in flow too much, you will never do it. So I know that I've kind of wavered off a little bit there, but the points are valid, right? And I feel like pile number 2's you're turning the leaf where essentially Spirit is reminding you that you have choice. And although it might seem to you at the moment that the only way is forward, there are other options you can take. You can turn left, you can turn right. You can go the option where it feels like you're going backwards. You can pause. You can stay in the middle for a little bit. And, this illustration is almost teasing at these two other points here, which is kind of like teasing us to kind of say we can almost create these other options too. They're not even formed, but we can create these other options. Can you see they're almost forming here? It would almost be like northeast and whatever that would be. Northwest. So pile number 2's beautiful reading. Like I said, it was a simple one, but I hope you got something out of that. If you did, please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Okay, what up, Pal Freeze? This is going to be my last reading for today, because my voice is like hanging on for dear life. Abstract reading. Let's see what we've got for you. I think we've got another love reading here, y'all. Goddamn lovebirds out here. And I know that, I don't know, I guess it might waver, but at the time of this video, I've got 50-50 men and female watching this. I was so shocked by that. I'm really happy that I've got so many dudes watching me. But I am shocked by it because my Instagram kind of gives me a different audience. But this YouTube is like down the middle, which I love. So I've got some of my dudes out here in love. I've got some of my ladies out here in love too. It's just a beautiful thing. What do you see? What do you feel? This reading, Pal Freeze. Because one thing that I instantly got here is I felt like these were almost like two roses. And I feel like one of these roses is a lot more like scriggly. And then the other rose is a lot more smooth. I'm not saying it's completely smooth, but it's a lot more smooth. And I'm almost getting like a transfer of energy here. So this new chapter, this new page is kind of representing maybe a clarity of a relationship, that you are almost like the healer in this relationship. So it doesn't matter if you're male or female, obviously. But I feel like, or you could be the anxious person and someone's healing you. So take it to however it makes sense. But I'm also getting actually that maybe you are like almost kind of creating the rose, like the energy is like pulsing and creating this thing, and then it's gonna go boom and then be smooth or smoother. So I feel like this is like a relationship reading, pile number 3s, and I feel like this is very much to do with at least one of you in this relationship acknowledging instability in energy. There's an instability in energy here, and then a smoothness in energy in the other party, and the other party is actually transferring that energy. And it's interesting here as well because this is coming from the core of this energy. Can you see it's coming from the center? And in this other one, it's kind of coming from the edge. So it's almost like purifying from the outside and then seeping in. There's a sense of like direction going on here too, which is interesting. It's almost scientific. It's not going straight to it's almost like the energy is almost seeping into the anxiety opposed to like a core and core connection. I'm getting also like, I know this is going to sound really random, pile 3, is that this is also to do, like, so the way that maybe this is like a tip as well for how you're transferring the energy. Spirit is saying here that it's not done through heart to heart, it's done through your heart, but I'm almost getting the sense here of like an aura. So when you are vibrating high, you don't transfer your positive energy to that person into their heart. Some, like, spirit's telling me that's almost dangerous for you, because you're going to be contaminated with their anxiety. What you do is you emit that energy and you allow your aura to absorb, let their energy absorb your light, and that way it seeps into their aura space and they actually raise their vibration from that. Really interesting, actually, as an analogy, or as an example. Pile 3s, I've learned a lot from this too. So just to clarify, if you're with a partner who's anxious, do not be working directly with their, for example, their heart chakra directly. What you want to be doing is just being almost like the best version of you, and that energy is going to emit into your aura field, and it's contagious. And obviously you can do energy work with that partner, but don't, like spirit is saying, like, don't go directly for their heart, because it's like you're gonna get, the word maybe isn't infected because it sounds a bit harsh, but like it's going to affect you. It's going to seep into your aura, and you don't want that to happen. So that's going to be a new chapter. Maybe, like, as well, pile 3s, if I didn't mention this, this might be something that you want to be quite direct with your partner. Like, I find that in relationships, when the person is, like, so let's say, for example, they are anxious, when they are high vibrational spiritually, they can actually admit this. It's when you're dealing with people who aren't very spiritual, if you start saying to them, hey, you're kind of anxious, aren't you? They take that as an offense. So when you are dealing with someone who's spiritually kind of woke or spiritually knowledgeable, you can actually have open conversations with people about this kind of stuff, because they won't take offense to it. You know, like, they'll actually acknowledge where they're weak, and they'll be actually more open to accept help from you. And this might be a huge penny dropping for some of you out there, but you kind of know it's true, right? Like, it's the people who are, when they're straight into the ego, they take things straight as offense. They're probably not in the spiritual space that's good for you anyway. And remember, this can go the other way round in a different area. So let's say that you're helping them with their anxiety. They might be helping you with, I don't know, like healing your root or healing your whatever it may be. You may be anxious in a different point, a different part of yourself, which they see, and they can help you. But again, if you're from a place of ego, you're going to be taking everything as an offense. And yeah, that's just a telltale sign. So part number 3 is, I hope that was helpful. If it was, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website. I think on my If You Pause website, actually, I've got some kind of cool stuff which will kind of leads off from this message a little bit, actually. So do remember to check it out. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next reading, pile 3s. Take care.